NPU. NPU stands for Neural Processing Unit. And this is basically a small processor inside the PC that is made for AI tasks. So instead of sending everything to the CPU or GPU, Windows can hand some of that work to the NPU instead. That matters because AI features usually need a lot of tiny calculations happening very fast. And doing all of that on the main processor can waste more power and generate more heat. So when Microsoft talks about AI PCs or Copilot Plus PCs, this is usually the hardware part they mean. The NPU is what lets some of these features run locally on the computer instead of depending fully on the cloud. Things like background blur, live captions, image effects, and other AI tools can feel faster because the PC is doing that work by itself. But the important part is this. The NPU is not some magical chip that makes the whole computer smarter. It is just a dedicated part built for one type of workload. That's why older Windows laptops can still run Windows 11 just fine, but some of the newer AI features are limited to newer machines. The software may look similar, but the hardware underneath is different. Recall. Recall is a Windows feature that saves snapshots of what you were doing on your PC and lets you search through them later. So instead of trying to remember the exact file name, website, or app, you can describe what you saw, and Windows tries to find that moment again. Now, the idea is simple. Maybe you were looking at a chart, a message, a shopping page, or some setting earlier, but later you forgot where it was. Recall is supposed to help you get back to it without checking your browser history, folders, and apps one by one. In a way, it works like a visual memory of your recent activity. Still, this is the part where people started asking harder questions. The benefit is obvious enough. Finding old stuff becomes easier. At the same time, the system is saving a history of what appeared on your screen, and that changes the whole feel of it. For one person, that sounds useful. For another, it sounds too invasive. So recall is really less about AI speed and more about whether you want your PC keeping that kind of memory at all. Click to do. This feature is built around quick actions. You see something on the screen, you select it, and Windows gives you a small menu right there. So instead of copying text into another app or saving an image first, you can do something with it immediately. For text, that might be summarize, rewrite, or copy. For images, it could be a quick edit or another related action without leaving the screen you are already on. That is the main idea here. Windows is trying to move the tool closer to the thing you clicked. Click to do is different because it is not supposed to feel like a separate destination. You are not opening a big AI app and starting from scratch. It sits on top of normal desktop use and turns simple actions into faster ones. That is why this feature matters. The change is not really about power. It is about removing a few small steps that normally slow people down. AI search. Search is one of those parts of Windows that sounds simple until you actually need it. A file may be somewhere on the PC, but the name is vague. A photo may still be there, but the location is unclear. Or the setting you want is buried in a menu path nobody keeps in their head. So AI search is supposed to make that whole process less rigid. Now, instead of typing only exact names, you can search in a more natural way. You can describe the thing you want, and Windows tries to figure out what you mean. Maybe you type the picture with the blue car, or the setting for mouse speed, and the system tries to connect those words to the right result. If it works well, the benefit is pretty basic. You waste less time trying different words, opening random folders, or clicking through menus. That is really the point of it. AI search is just Windows trying to make normal search feel a little closer to how people actually think. AI settings. A lot of people do not have a problem with settings because they are too advanced. The real problem is finding them. Windows keeps moving things, renaming things, and spreading them across different menus. After a while, even simple changes start feeling harder than they should. With AI settings, you type what you want in normal language, and the system tries to point you to the right place. Maybe you want bigger text, dark mode, or a different default browser. Instead of hunting through menu after menu, Windows is supposed to understand the request and bring up the right control more directly. That is where this feature helps. It is not flashy, and it is not the kind of thing people show off in demos for long. Still, for regular use, it may end up being one of the more practical ones. Most people are not trying to do something complex. They just want the PC to stop making basic changes feel like a scavenger hunt. Studio effects. Video calls are one of the clearest examples of what Windows is trying to do with AI. You turn on the camera, and the system can clean up parts of the image or sound before the call even begins. That includes things like background blur, better framing, eye contact effects, and voice focus. A lot of this comes down to a very normal problem. People work from bedrooms, kitchens, shared rooms, and places that were never meant to look polished on camera. Lighting can be bad, the background can look messy, and the microphone can pick up all kinds of noise. So Studio Effects is there to make those situations look a little more controlled, without asking you to install extra software first. What makes this feature easy to understand is that the result shows up right away. You switch it on, and the camera feed looks different. The audio can sound cleaner too. It is not changing the whole Windows experience or introducing some new workflow. It is just taking one everyday task and making the PC handle more of the cleanup on its own. Live captions. This feature does exactly what the name suggests. Windows listens to spoken audio and turns it into text on the screen while it is happening. That can be useful for videos, meetings, podcasts, or anything else where hearing every word clearly is not always easy. Now, the important part is not just that captions appear. The bigger point is that the PC is doing this live, right there on the device, instead of waiting for someone else to add subtitles later. That changes the feel of it. You are not depending on whether a video creator uploaded captions or whether a service supports them properly. Windows is trying to handle that gap by itself. For some people, this is mainly an accessibility feature. For others, it is just practical. A speaker might talk too fast. The accent may be hard to follow, or the room around you may simply be noisy. So live captions can end up mattering more than the flashier AI tools because it helps with something basic, understanding what is being said. Cocreator. This one is more about making something new instead of helping with a task that is already on your screen. You type a prompt, add a rough sketch if you want, and Windows tries to generate an image from that. In other words, it is the creative side of these AI features. The reason Microsoft includes something like this is pretty obvious. Image generation became one of the most visible AI trends, so Windows also wants a built-in tool that feels modern and easy to try. You do not need to learn some big design workflow first. The whole point is that a normal user can open the app, type an idea, and get a result quickly. At the same time, this is probably one of the less essential features for everyday PC use. What do you think about these Windows AI features? Are any of them actually useful to you, or do they just feel like extra stuff built into the PC? Leave a comment below, and if you want more simple tech explainers like this, subscribe and stick around for the next one.